Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Flip Flop Family podcast. My name is Zaileen, and if you are a loyal listener to our podcast, you may have noticed for the first time since the beginning of the year, there was no episode last week. And for that, I am very sorry. As if you know me and the Flip Flop family well, we are all about consistency and we value that a lot and appreciate the time that you take to listen to our podcast and be loyal listeners. Sadly, last week has got to be up there with one of the hardest weeks of our lives, as sadly, I lost my father a couple of days ago. Actually, I lie, I lost my father yesterday. It feels like an eternity, to be honest. Yesterday felt like it was never going to end. And you may wonder why on earth I am recording a podcast episode today. But the reason we started the Flip Flop Family podcast was to be really real and really transparent and to talk about things that all families talk about and all families go through. And without a doubt, people are going to go through grief. Sadly, we are all going to lose a parent, a sibling, a loved one. We're going to go through those motions, and the most important therapy that can help us through those times is, above and beyond anything, talking. And funnily enough, I've been unable to accept calls from my nearest and dearest, from friends and anyone that's called me. I've really struggled to answer the phone to speak. But I don't really have much of an issue talking to you. Maybe because you can't really talk back to me right now. So my husband would say that's my perfect situation where I can just talk and no one can talk back. But I feel that I can record this episode, and I'm really going to try because, like I said, I think what I'm feeling, what Ben's feeling, what Emiliana and Zach and all my family are feeling are not unique. They will also have felt the way we feel at some point in their lives. And if you haven't yet felt this awful way, sadly, if you give yourself to love, you will feel it at some point. And unfortunately, that is certain. I had lots of things prepped for last week's episode, and a lot of it was around Black Friday, as that did just pass us by, and how to make the most of it and get out there and get the things you want. It's funny, isn't it, how you can get so caught up in the materialistic side of life and just the things that happen in the West, and we can't help it. It's part of life. As much as you may try not to, you can't help getting caught up in it. And then when you go through such a significant life event that we've gone through in the last week, so suddenly you realize that actually none of that matters. Although I really do hope you got your bargains that you wanted. Your family is the most important thing. And with Christmas coming up, it is a time to just really hold them as close as you possibly can. Sadly, I won't ever get to hold my dad again. But I know that I've spent a lot of time with him and we've had a good life together, you know. He got admitted to hospital on Monday and he had the flu, and we had no idea that before the week was out, he would be up with the angels. But sadly, God had another plan, and it's okay. I think he was ready for it, but selfishly, we are not ready, and we never will be ready. During that week, we still didn't know which way it was going to go, and we did try to prepare ourselves mentally for what may come, but I don't think you can ever prepare yourself when it actually happens. We spent time holding his hand, all of us, me, Ben, the kids, my mum, my brother, my sister, my mussy, my fui, my fua, everyone spent some time holding my dad's hand. And we all really cherished having that touch, that skin to skin contact, you know? It's like that's all you can give. But I feel like when you do that, the person who's unwell gets that reassurance that you're there and that you're rooting for them and caring for them. And it was so nice to actually see those different relationships in a kind of quiet space, to see the relationship between my husband and my father, my children and my father, to see how he is with his siblings and, you know, his other relations. It was such a beautiful thing, and all your emotions and sensations are so much more heightened in this time that I feel like your eyes are more open and you can see it more. And it was just a really special time for which I'm really thankful, because I know that a lot of people who have lost their loved ones it's happened even more suddenly than it has for us. For us, it happened over the course of 7 days, but for others, it's instant, or they didn't know that person was going to pass and they never get to say goodbye. And we got to say goodbye. We got to say everything we wanted to say. And I just hope towards the end that my dad fully understood what we were saying, because he was loved and he still is loved very dearly. And a lot of people have reached out to me, and if you are one of them, I really, really appreciate it. My whole family appreciates your love and your support. And sadly, there are a lot of people out there that I know that have lost a parent and can completely empathize with my situation. Ben lost his father 2 years ago, and actually I don't want to repeat content, so there is another podcast episode all about grief and how to manage it, how to help your children through it. So if that is something that you feel is really helpful, please do go back and listen to that episode. I don't want to duplicate. I'm not really sure what we're going to be talking about today, but I really just felt it was great therapy for me to talk. And I do think it's nice to hear what other people, not nice, of course, but it's comforting to hear that other people have gone through, or, you know, what they've gone through and how they handled it. We as a family are quite close, and we've really had to club together. And after this week, I appreciate my family even more. I love Ben even more for the way that he's dealt with things and helped us all through it. We've had family flying in at a moment's notice from America and Canada to be here to support us and help us. My sister was actually abroad, and she sadly had to fly back home alone 15 hours to come back when she knew that my father was unwell, which I cannot imagine what she went through doing that flight. I spent multiple nights in hospital with my father, and we would always joke over the past year, because he has been in hospital multiple times and for appointments, and we've had to take him to A&E, and we'd always joke about how we spend the most time together when he's unwell, which is ridiculous, I know, but he over the last year became a little less social, so he had to spend time with me when I was taking him to the hospital, and he would always thank me, and we would always laugh about how we've never spent 12 hours straight together since I left home when I was in my 20s. But it's those little moments that are actually really comforting. I spent time by his bedside and helped him and tried my best to be the best daughter that I could be in his last week. And I actually wrote a poem while he was in bed and we weren't sure which way it was going to go, and I'd really love to read that out to you. As a child, I was obedient in his shadow, amazed by his creativity and timid under his discipline. As a woman, I saw a soft side as I left home, a carer as he cooked for me, and a guide who helped me. As a mum, I saw parts of my dad that only surfaced when he became a nana, a playfulness I would have loved as a child, and a warmth I would have bathed in. Now he's in my shadow, small, dependent, frail. I see his timidness and uncertainty in his eyes, how he looks to me for reassurance and care. He needs my love. He needs my guidance. He needs my warmth. For you, I give my all. I give my heart. I give my soul. For you are a part of me. You part created me, and you will always live in me. I love you, Dad. Your daughter. Your luck. Zaileen. He would always say that I was his luck, but really I was a mistake. I'm the third of 3 children, and my brother and sister are less than a year apart. And then 4.5 years later, I came along, and totally unexpected. I don't think they wanted 3 children. And my dad always said that when I was born, everything, like in terms of business and his success, turned up. But really and truly, I think he was just trying to cover up the idea that I was a total mistake and totally unplanned for. I read you that poem because when I wrote it, when I was in hospital, just looking at my dad, it just made me realize how there is a point in your life as an adult where the switch is flipped and you all of a sudden see your parents as older, and you realize that you, as much as you'll always be their child, you almost become the person that is the more caring one that they need more from you than you need from them. The balance changes. And if you look back, maybe depending on how old you are listening to this podcast, it may not have happened yet. And you may still be the child, and you may still, have their guidance, and they may still do more for you than you do for them. But there is a point where you look at your parents and you think, oh my goodness, when did you age? When did you become an older person, And it's really hard to actually go through that. As a family, we didn't really have any other family that lived in the UK, so we really were just this close-knit family of 5 because we didn't really have anyone else. We do have a bit of family in Eastbourne, but not so much. So that was it, us 5 in London, just going through life and being there for each other and leaning on each other. Although we have a really lovely community that have been super supportive, and they are even more supportive when it comes to times like this, funerals and planning. It's an absolute minefield to have to plan a funeral if you have ever planned one. I helped with planning my father-in-law's funeral, and it was a very steep learning curve that I had to go through, and I just didn't think that I'd be doing it again. Thankfully, I do have a lot of support, so we'll be doing it together. And if you are someone who has had to plan a funeral, there is so much information online. And if you do have a loved one that passes away in hospital, it is a little bit easier because you do get given a bereavement pack with lots of information to help you navigate how to get death certificates, etc. And that should really help you. And I must admit that ChatGPT was a very, very helpful friend during the last week, as when I was monitoring my father's stats when I stayed overnight, and when the doctors would come in and tell me things, and it'd be 4 a.m, I wouldn't be able to bounce off what to do with family because I didn't want to disturb them from their sleep. ChatGPT became my best friend and totally understood what I was going through and really guided me. And I know that there is a lot about AI that is negative, and I totally agree that, and then you need to be careful about what you use it for. But AI really helped me during this week, and actually I found it quite comforting. So it definitely does have a place. Obviously, just be careful with what you use it for. But it really gave me a lot of information and helped me, and in a way managed my expectations about how my dad was doing and what that really meant. I don't always think that doctors are as transparent with you unless you ask them to be. And us as siblings, we always ask to be transparent. Both me and my sister are occupational therapists, so we have sort of a healthcare background. And I think that comes through when we talk to health professionals. So often they will share more information with us. But ChatGPT definitely can help you through a lot of situations, and it did this week. We have been totally supported by wonderful messages from so many people on social media, on messages, calling, explaining that they are here for us. There are people bringing us food. There is just so much help and support, and we are so, so appreciative. And the resounding words of advice are that it will get better, which is advice I've actually given on my previous podcast, that with time you will heal, and to be strong, and to remember that the departed are at peace now. And I often give that advice myself, and I know that my dad is at peace, and that is amazing, but it still doesn't take away the pain, especially the imminent pain, which I know will subside in time. But when you lose a parent, the only way that I can explain it is like if you had drawn a picture of yourself, it's like getting an eraser and rubbing out half of it, because that half of that person created half of you, So it's a really difficult thing to navigate and to go through. And the kids have been amazing. I feel like they're going to be grief experts as when they're older, as they have actually been through a lot of grief. Last night, Zach slept with Ben and Emiliana. I slept with Emiliana just to give them a bit more support. But they've been wonderful, actually trying to support me, which is amazing. Again, already you can start to see the tables turn with Emiliana telling me how much support I have and how even her friends are supporting me, which is just so, so wonderful as we're all going through pain. The kids have lost their nana, Ben's lost his father-in-law, and I've of course lost my dad. My sister sent me this really beautiful poem by Maulana Rumi, which just helps to try and think about death in a different way, which I would love to read to you. When I am gone, release me. Let me go. I have so many things to see and do. You mustn't tie yourself to me with tears. Be happy. We had so many years. I gave you my love, and you can only guess how much you gave me in happiness. I thank you for the love you each have shown, but now it's time I travelled alone. So grieve a while for me, if grieve you must. Then let your grief be comforted by trust. It's only for a while that we must part, so bless those memories in your heart. I won't be far away, for life goes on. So if you need me, call and I will come. Though you can't see or touch me, I'll be near with all my love around you, soft and clear. And then, when you must come this way alone, I'll greet you with a smile and welcome you home. Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi. What a beautiful poem. That is one of the last things I said to my dad as he passed away in hospital, and we all had some alone time with him. And that is definitely the last words I said to my dad. I'll see you again. And I will see him again. And I know that he does live in me and everyone that he touched. And I really do appreciate everyone's support. And I hope that this podcast episode, though short, has given you something to remind you to just cherish your loved ones, cherish your elders, make time for them, because that's all you can give them. When you're busy and your parents call or someone calls you and you're just too busy to answer the phone, or you want to watch the last bit of what you're watching or have the last bite of your dinner, just answer the phone, because you'll never know when you might see that person again. I always think to myself when I look at my WhatsApp that I'll never see Dad WhatsApp me again. And on my parents' home phone number on my phone is saved as Mum Dad. And even when I said it when I was going round, I was like, I'm going to go to mum and dad's house. You know, it's all those little things. Someone yesterday told me that their father passed away a while ago, but they've never ended their dad's phone contract so that their number can stay in their phone and they can always call it. And I can totally understand that. Although that may seem like a really small thing, it's too final to delete someone's number off your phone, isn't it? Like, it's just too much, and that's definitely something that I won't be doing. Thank you again for listening, and I'll most certainly be back as a family next week with a more cheerful episode. But for now, I hope you have a wonderful week. I'm Zaileen, and this is the Flip Flop Family Podcast.